Hey guys, Patrick Blunt here. Today we are going to be making the strap hinges for the little cabinet prototype that we've been working on. But before I jump into forging these hinges out, I just kind of want to talk about how they're going to be made, the anatomy of a hinge, and the process behind doing these hinges. Now this is a hinge that I made probably about 8 years ago, just a basic strap hinge. You can see, I'll come up closer so you may get a better view of this. This is a piece of 3" by 1/4" plate that we roll these knuckles into. They are then cut out to give you a 2 knuckles on top and bottom. And this long strap here was just made from a piece of 1/4 by 1, which I rolled the middle knuckle on that. So this is just your basic 3 knuckle hinge, strap hinge, with a 3/8 inch hinge pin going through it. Now, I am going to be making the strap hinges for this little cabinet out of 3/16 by 3 flat bar, and I'm going to use the same size flat bar for both sections of hinges. So I'm going to have to roll and cut the knuckles out of the back plate and roll and cut the knuckle into this strap part, right? So that's what we're gonna do. So to do that, I'm gonna roll these knuckles, roll the eye first, and then we're gonna drift that with a 3/8 inch drift, which I'm gonna have to make because I can't find one this morning. So I'm gonna make a little drift out of this piece here. Now the drift for these knuckles, for this eye on these hinges, if you just roll these knuckles, if you roll that eye and you just drift it with a straight 3/8 inch drift, when this cools off, it's gonna shrink and you'll never be able to get a 3/8 pin through it. So you've got to, for your drift, take that drift and heat it up in the middle, stick it in your vise and whack it on top a couple of times to upset that drift in the middle and make it slightly larger than 3/8 inch. And then when you drift it, it's going to be drifted slightly larger than 3/8 inch. So then when it cools and it shrinks back down, you're hopefully going to be right at 3/8 of an inch. The other thing that you can do, and I'll probably do this as well, is lock it in a vise, and it can be difficult to get this eye that you're going to put in here totally plumb in your drill vise, but lock it in a vise in your drill vise and run a 3/8 inch drill bit through that eye. Just kind of walling it out or reaming it out on the inside, making sure it's all true. That way when you drop a 3/8 inch pin in there, everything's gonna move correctly. So that's kind of the basic process of hinges. So I'm gonna get the forge going. Let's jump into rolling these eyes, and then we'll let those normalize and cool off. And then we'll we'll roll them, we'll drift them, we'll let them cool off, we'll drill them out, and then from there we can mark out our knuckles and start cutting that out, right? So let me get the forge going, and the next thing you'll see is me starting to roll those eyes up. All right, guys. While that piece is heating up, we're gonna start rolling that eye. But I wanted to kind of show you guys what we're going for first. So what we're going for is we're gonna roll that end around. Now if that end tucks in a little bit, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Ideally what you want is it for to go around and kind of stop almost perpendicular to it, making it a circle that goes from this being the end and then that being the other end. But if it tucks underneath a little bit, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. And what you really want is just to get a good round, tight eye. Okay? So my piece is almost warm enough, hot enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to come out. We're going to just roll that edge over the far side. We'll come back like I'm making a scroll and start just rolling that eye around. Okay? All right, guys, so we got a heat here. Be sure you're getting a nice even heat all the way across your bar. Be heating that whole 3-inch piece up. Takes a little bit of time. Start rolling that edge. Work it all the same. Come back up here. Right hand, left hand communication here. Put your little hand down. Get back flat. Tighten that up a bit. Test it with your drift. Where's my drift? You can test it with your drift to see if you're small enough. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit, although it's fitting not too bad. Now I got it stuck. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that eye up a little bit, and then we're going to put our drift in, and we'll hammer that around and try to get that as round as we possibly can. Okay, so one more heat. All right, I'm gonna try to get this eye tightened up just a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna put the drift in. A bit more. Eye up around that drift. Pretty good. Now let's knock the drift out. We get stuck. Might have to grab another little pin in order to knock that out. Our eye, one of them. All right, so I'm gonna do that on the other bars, all the other bars, and then we'll get into cutting these knuckles out. Okay. All right, guys. So we got two parts of our strap hinge here, but they have got to go together, right? So I'm just gonna do a 3-knuckle hinge. So this one here will get cut to where the sides get cut off of it, and it leaves a knuckle in the middle. This back plate here will get cut to where it is the middle cut out, and it has 2 knuckles, one at the top and one at the bottom. And then those knuckles, that knuckle will fit inside of that, and then the pin will go down the center of that, and it'll be a hinge. Okay. My pin, all I did was just clean it up a little bit, get the mill scale and rust off of it. And if I can put it on my strap right here, it slides through there perfectly, and we have free movement, which is what you want. I'm a little bit sticky on the back plate. It'll go through there. It does stick a little bit, but it will go all the way through, and this is not a big deal because the pin can actually stay stationary in this plate. As long as this one spins free on there, then it's going to be a working hinge. Does that make sense? So I'm going to get these knuckles marked out and cut and get everything fitted together, and then the last step on making that hinge will be making our pin. So all we'll have to do is just do a little rivet top up to the top so that the pin doesn't fall out when we stick it in there. Easy peasy, right? Since I'm using 3-inch wide bar, I'm just going to make it real easy with me and make each one of those knuckles a 1-inch knuckle. So I'm just going to mark it out, mark this out, and then we'll cut in, and then we'll have to chisel off the bottom. So you can cut that with either a hacksaw or a cutting wheel on an angle grinder, which is probably what I will do. And then you'll have to use a cold chisel to cut the base, to cut down here to get that knuckle to break off, and then file that little burr that it leaves. Okay? So that's the next step. So you'll see me, what we're gonna do is we'll mark this out, and then we'll clamp them to the table and cut them. All right guys, so here we go. First thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna mark out these knuckles. Really fairly simple. I'm just gonna make a little mark at 1 inch and 2 inch. Now you're gonna have to cut down, mark out, get that back in the frame, here we go. How far down that needs to be cut so that knuckle will have clearance when it swings. Normally about a 1/2 inch or so, 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch is probably pretty good. You can always, if you do have any catching, take the hinge back apart and you'll just have to chisel out some more with a cold chisel. Let's see how far I want to go with mine. I'm going to go 1/4 of an inch down. So I'm going to mark 1/4 of an inch off the bottom of that eye. Mark it on this side as well. We're leaving this, taking this off, okay? Same thing on this one. Now we just mark down 1/4 of an inch. I know how far down to cut, and we are taking this. Take that out. That'll leave me 2 knuckles here. Leave me 1 knuckle here. That knuckle will slide into that knuckle, and then the pin can go in. Right? Right. All right, next step, I'm gonna clamp this right here. Get the angle grinder, we're going to cut this out.
now we go to the anvil and we get a cold chisel, and I'll show you all knocking these, chiseling along there. Then we'll lock it in the vise, and you can just knock that that knuckle that you don't want. You can just knock it out. All right, next step, you're going to take a cold chisel. You're going to chisel along this line here and this line here, and then we can lock this in the vise and knock these knuckles off. Just be sure you're chiseling the right knuckles off of each one. It can get confusing, and if you knock a knuckle off that you're not supposed to knock off, well, then you're done. You got to start all over. Now we're going to put this in the vise, and we should be able to knock these right off. All right, we're going to lock this in the vise right at the bottom. That knuckle. So my cut is just above the top of my vise. Flip-flop sides here. We go. All right, so now I will dress this up and dress this up where I cut, and that'll be ready to go. I'm going to do the next one, and I'll show you fitting these together. All right, guys, now we can do a test fit real quick. Alright, there we go. That's a working hinge now. Obviously we're gonna be cutting these down, and we're gonna be putting holes in there to mount them with. But that works and looks great. My next step to finish this part of the hinge making out, though, is to make a proper pin, because obviously this one's way too long. To do that, all we're gonna do is basically make a rivet. You're just making a long 3/8 inch rivet, pretty much. So I'm just gonna put a rivet head on the top there, and then I'll re-clean this up. To do that, if you have a rivet header that's as long as you need, 3 inches, that would be the easiest way, is to just cut this bar, stick it in the rivet header, and make a rivet head on it. I don't have a 3-inch thick rivet header, so I'm going to heat it up and just upset it, and probably stick it in this vise and upset it in the vise. I used a rounding hammer on that just to kind of squish that material out like that. All right, so you can see how that just flared it out slightly. It did bend it over a little bit. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna get another heat. We'll dress that up, straighten it out, and then that pin will be ready. All I'm trying to do is just create a thick spot at the top so that the pin, when it slides in, doesn't go all the way through, it stops, right? So I will get that all dressed and finished, and then we'll come back and do final assembly on these hinges. All right guys, so there's our finished pin, and we can slide that right in there, and we got us a hinge. That will work. Done with that strap hinge. Obviously we need some mounting holes and stuff in it, but that's your basic strap hinge. This pin could stand to get trimmed off a bit at the bottom. If you want to make it to where it's all one piece and the pin can't come back out, you can put this in your vise and heat that with your torch and rivet this side down, which we might actually do, in order to make that all one piece and not be able to be taken apart. Because for this project, I kind of don't want that door to be able to come off. I don't want that hinge to come apart right yet. So anyways, I'm going to have to think my way through that. Anyways, that is your basic hinge. So I'll do that with the other one, and we'll be good to go. Alright guys, thank y'all so much for watching my hinge video. Obviously this needs some mounting holes, but this is getting trimmed off and mounting holes put in. But I hope you guys learned something. I hope y'all challenge yourself. The design for these hinges could be literally anything you can imagine. You can make into a hinge. So challenge yourself and do something really cool, guys. If you are interested in the rest of the process, I didn't show you guys the texturing of these panels or the tapering on here. If you're interested in that, if you're interested in seeing me do the mounting holes, mount these onto the pieces, the piece that they were actually being made for, that whole full process video is over on Patreon. The link for my Patreon page is in the description for this video, but that gets you all the information on just basic strap hinges and how to make a 3-knuckle basic strap hinge. So thank you guys for watching. Thank y'all for following. Thank y'all for commenting. Please do remember to follow me on Instagram at GreenhowHandmade on Instagram. And if you're interested in the rest of the process or any of the other full process videos on stuff, please go check out the Patreon page. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't appreciate you guys enough. Love you. See you later. Thank you.